Welcome, everyone. I'm Sue Barber, author, former IT director for a Fortune 500 company, turned executive coach, and this is the Visibility Factor podcast, where we explore how to raise your visibility and play bigger at work and in life. We'll explore key topics and welcome guests that help you shift your thinking about yourself so you can see new possibilities for your leadership. I'm on a mission to create a visibility movement for leaders to show their value and be seen for their true talent. Are you ready to take the next step towards a higher level of visibility for yourself? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. When you're hearing this episode, we will have already had the new year and you've already gotten through the holidays and hopefully had some time to recharge and relax. This is my favorite time of year, honestly. I love the holidays, first of all. It makes me happy to decorate and to have the whole family home, spend time, going through all of our favorite traditions and eating all of the favorite foods. But it's also a time to look forward. And I use it as a time to start to think about what I want to create in 2025. So I thought today's episode, we would focus on that. And I tend to do this every year because I think it's important to just take the time to do that for yourself, for your career, for your life, whatever it is you want. And I started to really think about this last year because I wanted to create new experiences. And I made it a goal to do that in 2024. And it has been really, really transformational for me to think about that and make sure that I'm creating at least certain experiences. They don't even have to be big, like travel or anything like that. They can be small experiences, getting together with friends. But I feel like it has been a very big intention of mine, and I'm going to continue it into 2025. So think about something. I'm going to give you some ideas here in a second, but start to think about what it is you want to create because you get to do that. You don't have to wait for someday. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission. You get to do this right now. So there's multiple ways that you can start to plan out things. Some people do what I might call traditional goal setting. You probably do that at work. And you have a list of goals for your performance that you're going to be measured on and maybe some development goals as well. But what if we try to focus on what you want to create in your life in this conversation? There might be some career aspects to it as well, which is totally fine. But I don't think we tend to spend enough time really thinking about what we want in our life. We just go through the day to day and pretty soon 10 years have passed and all of a sudden we're looking back and recognizing that we could have done some things, right? We just didn't take the time to put a plan in place to make it happen. So one of the big questions that you might have is, what do you want out of your life? And I think that's a question that a lot of people struggle with. It feels big. It feels a little overwhelming. There might be a ton of things that they've thought out throughout their life that they want to have, but there are all the reasons why they can't have it or they don't give themselves permission to have it. And so I want for this conversation today for you to let all of that go. Nothing is off the table. Everything is available to you. You get to choose what you want to put into place in your life. And you can decide when that happens. It doesn't have to happen today, but I want you to start to think about it because we just don't give ourselves enough time to dream. And I think we need more of that. So I want to spend a little time thinking about this with you. And I put some ideas down here. So I want to just go into that. So I'm going to give you a permission slip. You get to dream whatever you want out of this list. You get to say out loud what it is you want. And I'm going to have you go through a really simple activity to do this. Now, if you've done traditional goal setting at work, it's probably very structured. You have certain things that you can pick from, and you have to kind of follow the system that you're given. In our experiment here, we're going to make this very simple. There are no limits to what you can put down on the paper. The only limit I'm giving you is 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes means that I'm giving you 5 minutes to jot down all your dreams. I want you to think about all the things that you want in your life. I don't want you to have any of those limiting thoughts come into place. But what are the dreams you want to turn into reality this year or maybe in future years coming up? Because sometimes we have to start to plan in advance for something. Like if you want to retire in 10 years, you might have to start to look financially where you're at, where you might want to live. There's a lot of things that you might have to consider. Or maybe you want to do a big trip with a family member or your whole entire family. A lot of people do that. There's going to be some planning involved. How can you make sure everybody's calendar is aligned to be able to do something like that? So it's important to start to plan. It's important to start to think about it and just do this. So here's the way I'm going to give you this little plan to follow. So if you're a morning person, do this in the morning. If you're an afternoon or evening person, do it at that time instead. Whenever you have the most energy, but I want you to set a timer on your phone or wherever you have a timer nearby and set it for 5 minutes. And I just want you to get out a piece of paper and or notebook, whichever is easier for you, and just start to dream about the things that you want. I don't want you to have any filtering at all. I don't want you to hold yourself back. I don't want you to come up with all the reasons why you can't do it or you don't have the money to do it. I just want you to put them down. Doesn't mean you have to do them. Just because we write them down doesn't mean you have to do them. But let's get it out of you. Let's get it into a place of possibilities for you to consider. And maybe it's something that you want to share with others. And you have to get some clarity for yourself first to be able to do that. So 5 minutes, set your timer, and then go. Write them all out, whatever those things are. And then when you're done, look at that list. Look at the list. Are those things that you forgot about until you just gave yourself permission to do it? Are those things that you might have thought about when you were younger, or things that you and your spouse thought about doing when you got married and you just never did them? Or things that might be helpful to bring older family members together on a trip that they can remember and create memories. This is about creating a life that you want for yourself. So what we're trying to do is let go of all of these old beliefs we have, old assumptions, maybe conditioning that has informed the way that we think about the world and our life. Just think about this for a second. Retirement was created a long, long time ago, and it probably made sense at that point. But then when a lot of people actually get to retirement, their health isn't in a good place. They may not mentally be able to do it. They may not have the money to do it. What if we start to think about not waiting until retirement to do all the things that we really love and would make us happy and create great memories and experiences for us? Start to think about how you can incorporate those things earlier and not wait for someday to happen before you do them. So the first thing that's going to happen, I just want to give you a little insight, is when you start to write these things down, your brain is immediately going to go into, you can't do that. That's too far to travel. You don't have the money for that. You can't get that much time off work. That's all going to happen immediately. And I want you to just recognize that your brain is seeing that you're trying to do something out of your comfort zone. You're trying to do something different, and it's trying to keep you safe, keep you in this space where it can control things. You just have to appreciate that, right? It's trying to keep you safe from danger and any other things that we've had throughout our lives, like stress and anxiety. All of those things can happen. And your brain is trained to immediately go to this place of something's different. I need to send a message that keeps this person from doing something. Recognize it and say thanks, and then just keep going. I want you to keep going. Now you've made your list over the 5-minute time frame, right? I want you to continue to do this for the next 4 days. I want you to have 5 days of 5 minutes where you just dream, where you just write down these lists. You might be in the grocery store after you do this and you think, oh, you know what? That's another idea I should put on my list tomorrow. Well, write it down so you don't forget it. And then you can transfer it. You can write it on your phone. If you carry your list in your notebook with you, you can put it on there. Have it with you. And here's why. What we're doing is opening up possibilities inside of you. We're opening up this piece inside of you that you might have been keeping hidden. You might not have ever let yourself dream about. You might have been given direction from other people that they didn't really want to hear about it. And so you shut it down. But I'm giving you permission to open it back up again. I want you to really spend some time with this. So 5 minutes every day for 5 days. If you're somewhere else and you want to write some ideas down, please do. Because what we're doing is raising this up to the surface. We're helping people start to think about what's possible for them. And that's going to change how your brain works. It's going to say, oh, you know what? Maybe this is okay. Maybe we should start thinking about this, right? So it's just a way for you to start to dream in a bigger way. So once you have your list over 5 days, compile it, see how many are on the list. You might even get up to 100 ideas, right? Or 100 things that you want to accomplish. You can do those over time, right? You're not being asked to do them immediately. But look at the list. Take out any duplicates that you might have, and then look at it and prioritize 3. Just pick 3 things that you think, wow, if I could do those, that would be amazing. I would be so excited. It would change my life. It would transform my life if I did some of these things. Pick 3, know that the rest of the list is there, and you can keep adding to it. There's not a requirement to only do this for 5 days, but I wanted to give you a little bit of structure to follow. And so you can look at that list and say, what are the 3 things that I'm going to really focus on? Let's just use an example. Let's take a trip somewhere, right? And you have a trip that you want to take and you've never been to this place before. What are some things that you might have to do to make that happen? So you might have to have conversations with someone who's been there. You might want to do some research on how much it's going to cost and what the options are. How are you going to travel there? Who's going to come with you? This isn't the how yet, right? This is just the what, and just learning information to inform the what. So you can get more clarity. There's no filtering. There's nothing off the table, even if it sounds a little out there, right? A little wild for you to be considering, a little adventurous where you may be traditionally more safe and risk averse. Just put it on the list. This is about dreaming and possibilities, nothing more at this point. So when you start to do this, what happens? You start to see new possibilities. You start to dream bigger. You start to recognize that maybe this isn't as expensive as I thought it was. I mean, if you do some research and really spend some time on it, instead of just saying, oh, that's too expensive, what could happen? You might be able to realize that, oh, when I get my bonus, I actually do have enough money to do this. Or if I prioritize this, I can start saving over the next 12 months, and it could become a reality faster than I thought. We tend to throw up barriers and reasons why we can't do something because it's easier. And that's our brain just trying to keep us safe and keep us from doing stuff that could be fun. So I do this every year. I start to think about big ideas and big dreams. And I wanted to walk you through an idea that I'm really considering for my family. And I wanted to just share it with you. So I'm going to put down a few things for you to think about. So one of the ways that we do this is put it into present tense, as if it's already happening, as if it's already a plan, and it's not something in the future. So if you can write your goal, let's use mine. I'm traveling to Italy in September 2025 with my family. We are going to visit Rome, Florence, Venice, and Tuscany. We're going to spend 10 days there, and we're going to try to find the best flights, but we may fly out of Chicago. We'll figure that out as we get more information. We're going to spend a wonderful time there, and we're going to figure out what we want to do when we're there. So I want you to recognize, this is something that if I speak it out into the world as if it's already happening, as if it's an itinerary, then people start to see, and my family starts to see that it can become a reality. I believe it's a reality now because I'm speaking it out into the world as if it is. Then you want to get into maybe what you want to accomplish on this trip. Not the how necessarily, but all of the things that you want to accomplish while you're there. So you start to fill in details, if you will. So this is a way to start to enroll others. So for me, it might be thinking about all of the different things we want to do when we're there. Where are we going to get the best deals for flights and booking flights and hotels, and what kinds of other extracurricular things do we want to do while we're there? Where do we want to tour? What do we want to see? Who do I know there that maybe I can connect with and meet with while I'm there that can help give us some guidance and some insights into maybe some local restaurants that are fun to go to, and just different things that we can do. I start to really do that. And when I do that, what happens? It creates action, it creates inspiration, it creates motivation, and it gives me momentum. It helps me see that this could be a trip that could be something that we really do in September. So I want you to start to think about this for yourself. What is something that you've been putting off? Maybe it's a bucket list item. Maybe there's something else you've had on your list that you wanted to do. Time's short. You never know, right? People could get sick. People could pass away. And there's always this longing for what I wished I would have done. And I don't want anyone to live with regrets. I don't want you to be, 80 years old wishing you would have done something sooner. So start to think about ways that you can do this. Put these ideas down and then spend either weekly or monthly, whatever works best for you. I do it on a monthly basis. At the beginning of the month, I'll just write it all out and I'll go through it and look at it. What's interesting about that is I did one, I've been doing it for the last 6 months. And every month when I go back and look at what I had down there, I've actually done it. I've been focused on it. I it's easier to focus on just a few things than a million things. And we tend to focus sometimes on a million things and not get anything done. So if you can focus on just a few things and say, what could I do in this time frame? What could I do in a month that might help me move forward on this dream to Italy? And so it can be very easy to write out some actions that you can easily take and start to cross off the list. And when you come up the next month and look at what you've done, it's pretty impressive. You've made progress. And we tend to, unfortunately, not do this. So that's why this simple plan is being put into place for you. You can take advantage of it and start doing it now. You can start to spend some time on it and just make sure that you create the dream that you want to have in 2025 or maybe in the future. But start talking about it out loud and start writing some things down. So here's your action plan. I have just walked you through the simplest goals and action plan you could possibly have in your life. It's really easy, right? It's not hard. It's not much time. I don't want you to come up with any excuses about why you can't do it, because you can absolutely do it. Everybody has 5 minutes of a day to start this plan. You have 5 days of 5 minutes. You can do it. And you just create a list and start to pick out what you want to do and create some actions. Now, maybe you go through and you learn information and you decide, you know what? I don't think I really do want to do this now. I think there's somewhere else I want to go. I talked to somebody and they talked about another place that they were going and how cool it sounded to me. And now I'm going to change from Italy to Ireland. You get to decide that, right? Nothing is set in stone that you absolutely have to do what your original goal was. You just have to start to spend time on it and give yourself some space to do that. So if you're a morning person, again, spend time in the morning. If you want to do it in the afternoon or evening, do it once a month, but just be consistent. Figure out what time works best for you and be consistent, because you deserve to get what you want out of life. And this is going to help you get there. So I hope that you are going to have a fabulous 2025. I hope you will continue to join me on the podcast. I find that these are opportunities for us to create what we want in the world, and that's what I'm trying to do. And so if I can inspire and motivate you to do the same, that's amazing. I would love to hear from you. So if you found something really beneficial in today's podcast, please drop me a line. Let me know. You can reach out to me at hello@susanmbarber.com and send me a note, or you can reach out to me on social media on LinkedIn. But have a fabulous rest of your break, whatever time you get left off, and go into the new year looking for space and time that you can spend time with your family, do some things with experiences that might make a difference, and cross some things off of this dreams list that you've just created. Thanks so much for joining today on the Visibility Factor podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening to the Visibility Factor podcast. Remember that visibility starts with small steps that are intentional and consistent each day. Be bold, be visible, be the leader you were meant to be. Find us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, which are highlighted in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Visibility Factor podcast.